Before we begin, check out my Indiegogo for my character Methcator. I have 4 posters available as preliminary merch while I hammer out the issue 1 story. The goal is to raise awareness for the character and raise funds for a quality issue 1 cover. Thanks! Hey guys, welcome to Black Angus Reviews. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about Ray Fisher. He just dropped a, I'm assuming, Instagram video. I saw a clip on Twitter. Thanks to my boy Fatal J. Go check him out. He does a lot of DCEU, DC Universe coverage, Snyder Cut stuff and whatnot. Ray Fisher just dropped this video, and it kind of details a bit more concerning what he's alleging has happened to him with regards to Justice League. So here is that video. Boom.
Great detail about Berg and his excuse for the situation with Geoff Johns was, well, Ray, I worked with Geoff on Shazam. I don't really think that he would do that sort of stuff or be that sort. And I go, Walter, you weren't there. I'm telling you, you weren't. You were not there when the man used back channel communication to call me into his office and made the veiled threat to my career. You weren't there for that. I said, you weren't there when Geoff Johns contacted me in 2018, a year and a half after Justice League, while I was shooting True Detective, to gloat, using back channel communications to gloat that there'd be another Cyborg being used in the DC universe in a show that he was producing. I said, Walter, you weren't there for those things. You can't tell me about it. And so
interesting stuff there. He's alleging that he had his career, thinly veiled threat towards his career by Geoff Johns during a meeting in which he was trying to supposedly work up the chain to make a complaint about, I'm assuming, Whedon and John Berg. He also said in 2018 that Johns, through back channels, gloated about a new Cyborg in some show. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be Stargirl or Doom Patrol or whatnot. But right off the bat, this looks weird because he's saying back channels and stuff and you weren't there. And so what is it exactly? All right. So if you go to people.com, they just had a article yesterday come out. It says Justice League star Ray Fisher responds to desperate Warner Brothers statement on misconduct allegations. All right, so Warner Brothers claimed that Ray Fisher has failed to provide a specific and credible allegation of misconduct. And this kind of goes through a timeline of things. So Ray Fisher's been speaking out after Warner Brothers issued a lengthy statement claiming the actor was not cooperating with an investigation following his complaints of experiencing misconduct on set. In July, he claimed that director Whedon was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable while working on the film, adding that Whedon was enabled by in many ways by Geoff Johns and John Berg. Now, Johns is a comic writer. He's done a lot of good stuff. New 52 and Rebirth were, I think, brainchilds of him, along with some others. He helped bring Shazam, notably, out of obscurity. He kind of redefined Aquaman. And most notably, as of late, he teased a very interesting idea for the Joker with Batman's continuity, and he's finally paid that off with the highly anticipated 3 Jokers. I did a review, you can check it out here. Really great stuff, and it actually sold 300,000 copies. We'll get to that later, because I think that's a key factor in this fiasco building with DC, especially before their second phase of fandom, which went over pretty well this first time around. Go down. In August, Fisher had added more details to his complaint, writing that Johns summoned him to his office to belittle and admonish him and his agents' attempts to take grievances up the proper chain of command, and made a threat to his career. On Friday, Warner Brothers defended the studio executive in a statement obtained by Entertainment Weekly. In July, Ray Fisher's representative asked DC Films president Walter Amada to talk to Fisher about his concerns during production of Justice League. The two had previously spoken when Mr. Amada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers' upcoming Flash movie, together with other members of the Justice League. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal, and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of the production process and that a film writer-director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. So right there, it seems that given that his only real claims to fame is being Cyborg, which is, I would say, bottom of the barrel if you look at the list of Justice League characters in this iteration. He's probably the least interesting. You don't hear people, man, I really want Cyborg stuff. Yeah, you got your diehards that really blow up the fandom, exaggerate, but who really is interested in Cyborg? So with that, and his only other big acting credit coming in True Detective, which I haven't seen yet, and then this Corona issue going on, it seems the Snyder Cut and Zack Snyder seems to be the only real people working around this guy so far, which I'm excited about the Snyder Cut. Fisher also did saying that he received a phone call from the president of DC Films wherein he attempted to throw Whedon and Berg under the bus in hopes that he would relent on Geoff Johns. Fisher said he won't. Notably, Hamada also told Mr. Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they would conduct an investigation. At no time did he throw anyone under the bus, and Mr. Hamada had no involvement since the filming occurred before he was elevated to his position. The statement goes on to claim that Fisher never alleged any actionable misconduct against him and declined to speak to the investigator hired to look into his claims. What's interesting about this, because this is one of the things I've been looking into this recently, I'm like, well, why isn't he working with the investigative team? And he kind of sheds light that makes me kind of step back a bit and at least try to look at this objectively. He disputed Warner Brothers' statement, and he said he met with the investigator via Zoom on the 26th of August. Below is an email I sent to my team and someone immediately after. And that says, "Hey crew, got offline with the investigator, had to end the interview early before going into detail with him. He's definitely been put on a case by Warner Brothers Pictures, not Warner Media. His findings will go directly and solely to Warner Brothers Pictures legal. He also had another person on the line as a witness, which we weren't made aware of. I told him I needed to have a rep online as security for myself." He says that it is also worth noting that I made it clear to the world on August 21st that I would be vetting the investigator to ensure a fair and protected process for all witnesses. So that's interesting right there. If they got someone listening in without his awareness. This is blowing up out of hand, honestly. Alright, so what's interesting about all this going on is that apparently the Justice League Cyborg is confirmed for the Flash movie. This comes from Cosmic Book News. Justice League actors and characters are confirmed for the upcoming Flash movie, including Cyborg, which follows news of Batfleck returning as Batman. It comes from Warner Brothers in a statement made in regards to recent allegations Fisher made about mistreatment with Whedon, Johns, and Berg that we've talked about. Something cool in this article I didn't know about is that it says news of Cyborg appearing in the Flash isn't all that surprising, as previous versions of the script, particularly the Rick Famuyiwa, I always butcher that name, version features Cyborg. Now, Rick, if you don't know, is a director on The Mandalorian. He did 2 episodes, and they're really solid. I really want to see what he can do in a bigger avenue for Star Wars, and just in creatively anywhere, especially with a franchise like comics. So that's really interesting. Now, what I was saying earlier about Three Jokers is it sold 300,000 copies. And this is, I think, is the key thing for Geoff Johns, that he won't really receive any real punishment if, in fact, he did anything. All right, if you go to Screen Rant, they have an article that says, "Forget Batman, DC's Three Jokers #1 sells 300,000 copies." So it goes on to talk about like kind of the backstory to the development of this story. And what's interesting is some of the stuff down here. It says, fans have been waiting for information about the Three Jokers so long that it may have just made Batman a bestseller. In an interview with THR, Hollywood Reporter, DC Comics publisher Jim Lee said, "We got our numbers for Three Jokers, and the first issue sold over 300,000 copies, and that's an $8 book, twice what you normally, what you normally pay for a comic, usually $3.99. That's a gigantic number for having new distribution." And that's not just marketing talk either. 300,000 issues sold isn't just a success in the world of superhero comics; it's almost unheard of. In the modern day, a single issue selling 100,000 copies is considered a major success. Landmark issues of books with widely known characters will usually only net around 150,000. Wonder Woman's 750th issue almost sold 170,000 copies in January. Even DC Rebirth itself only sold around 235,000 copies. And that's with, you know, the big three and, I'm assuming, tangent characters of the Justice League universe. To say that 300,000 issues is a huge win is an understatement. These sales figures are good news for DC Comics, as the company has entered a period of uncertainty as a result of COVID-19. Due to the pandemic, the comic industry as a whole has seen a decline in sales. In addition to that is problems with new distribution, which were alluded to by Lee. All of this has added up to major shakeups for both Marvel and DC. Marvel recently cut ties to their Empire event, while DC just experienced a mass firing of their editorial staff. So right there, given that Geoff Johns is heavily involved with developing TV projects and or movies like Justice League and whatnot, which is kind of, you know, the Avengers level event for that universe, and with a dying industry with new distribution in this, in my opinion, scandemic that we're in, to sell 300,000 copies for a title twice as much as a normal comic book, says a lot about his stay power with the company and the value he brings to DC, Warner Brothers, Warner Media, AT&T in general. With all of this vagueness and lack of evidence thus far from Fisher, I don't really see how Johns will get really anything besides maybe a reprimand or some sort of kind of in title only demotion. You know, have his career de-elevated. I can't think of the word right now. Losing rank. But yeah, so that's kind of everything going on right now. You got Cyborg being announced to return in the Flash movie with a huge kind of Flashpoint event of Michael Keaton Batman, Batfleck, of course Flash finally getting his film and Cyborg joining, with apparently Rick Famuyiwa at least being involved or having been involved in this project. So a lot of good stuff going on overall, DC. This Ray Fisher thing seems to be coming out of nowhere. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will talk to you later.